Hey folks, this is immigration attorney Hassan Abdullah here in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I'm going to be sharing with you in this video an official document. This is the fraud referral sheet. This is basically what immigration officers will review in evaluating whether or not the case that they are reviewing is a case of fraud that may require additional interviews or even a site check. See, when someone is sponsoring someone for a green card, if it's a US citizen sponsoring a spouse for a green card, for example, they will have to go through an interview with an immigration officer, and there's very specific things that the immigration officer is going to be checking for. So this is an official document. It even says, I'm not sure if you can see, it says for official use only. And this was released, it was leaked, and so now it's available. And well, it's useful information, so I thought that it would be a great idea to share this on video with people who might be interested in knowing what kind of things that they go over in the interview and evaluating whether a case is a genuine marriage sponsorship case or if there's reason to believe there might be fraud. So let's just get right into the referral sheet, the fraud referral sheet. There's different categories of factors that they look at. The first category is general behavioral fraud indicators. So I will go through, there's 10 different points. So number one, they check for extreme nervousness. So obviously if you're fidgeting a lot and looking like you're not thinking clearly and showing that you're agitated based on what you're hearing and the questions you're asked, that's going to be something that's going to be checked off. Over interaction is another thing. So you don't want to over interact with the immigration officer, which means if you are asked a question, you don't give your whole life story just based on that question. So if they ask you, when you woke up this morning, who woke up first? For example, if you're, this is an interview for a married couple, you answer the question. You don't rattle on and on about different things, saying I woke up first, and in fact I went to the bathroom, and I almost slipped or something, and then I prepared like what you prepared for breakfast. You don't need to go into all that detail. Lack of knowledge. Another one is lack of knowledge about basic questions. So obviously that's self-explanatory. They'll ask maybe where did you go to get your wedding ring or things like that. And if there's inconsistency in that, that's an indicator of fraud. If you're late for the interview, I'm not sure how this would indicate fraud, but it is one of the factors that they look in. So it pays to be on time, obviously, and with any immigration interview, if you're late, they could just basically cancel your case in a way if you don't even show up. So if you're like 30 minutes late, they might assume you're not showing up and they might, deny your case on that basis. Answers prompted by attorney or other is another basis of fraud. So the attorney is not supposed to be someone who attends the interview where they're going to direct or orchestrate things. That is an indicator of fraud. So, a trained attorney is not going to be getting involved by, asking questions unless it's to rehabilitate the one of the parties in terms of maybe making a statement that was not consistent with something that was previously stated. Lack of interest or interaction. Of course, a normal married couple is going to be maybe a bit nervous in the interview, but at the same time, they're going to be somewhat upbeat. So if you're showing that you are very morose and very tired and uninterested, that's a sign of fraud. Lack of eye contact. So that's another thing that they use to determine if there is fraud or not. Meaning they don't make a conclusive determination of fraud, but they will want to investigate the case more further if there's a lack of eye contact. Evasive or general answers, that kind of speaks for itself. Answers interrupted by attorney. So if someone is if you're asked a question in your interview and before you can finish your statement, the attorney interrupts, that is a sign of some fraud as well. And of course, if the attorney is attempting to distract or mislead the witness, the person being asked questions, either the sponsor or the beneficiary, that's also an indicator of fraud. So these are various reasons for referral to further investigation. Then there's another category called General Fraud Indicators Guide. A lot of this has to do with documentation, so I'm not going to go over every one of them, but basically one of the key things is over-submission of documents, and if the photograph seems staged. So, I've had clients, one of my clients actually had a second interview because there was some differences of statements in their first interview, and USCIS went as far as to even visit their house after the second interview to finally determine that this was a genuine marriage. Now, what the client did in that case is he submitted stacks. At his second interview, he literally had stacks of photos, and he, without prompting, saying, I have a lot of photos for you if you want to see them. And he started stacking them like bricks at the interview. So that's not something you want to do. You don't want to submit too many documents, making it look like you're trying to create a case. You should just do what's reasonable. The other thing is there's a specific I-130 family-based petition fraud indicator guide. So there's specific factors that they look at that are more in general about the case and not so much what happened at the interview. So these are some of the factors to also consider. Short time between entry and marriage. So if you enter the United States and shortly after your admission to the United States you get married and then you apply for adjustment of status, that is actually viewed in some level of suspicion. Unusual marriage history is another one. So if, for example, you married people for sponsorship, the petitioner is married before and has sponsored 2 other people in the past, and this is the 3rd person you're sponsoring, that can be an indicator of fraud. Children born during marriage to other parent. I think that kind of speaks for itself. Unusual number of children and large discrepancy in age. So I'm not sure exactly what that means, unusual number of children. And the thing is, all we can do is make assumptions, and I'm just reading what I'm finding in this guide. So large discrepancy in age is self-explanatory. So if you're marrying somebody and let's just say the husband is 25 and the wife is 40, they're going to be viewing that with some suspicion. Divorce and new marriage dates are close. So obviously if you get married right after a divorce, especially if you got your green card or citizenship based on being sponsored by a US citizen, that's an indicator of fraud. Another thing is unusual associations between family members. So if if you're the petitioner and your family is well acquainted with the beneficiary's family, they might believe there's some other ulterior motive for sponsorship, and there might have been maybe some deals that went on to get sponsorship. So that's another indicator of potential fraud. Low employment financial status of petitioner is another sign of fraud. So they might assume you're doing this just to get money, and there might have been a contract behind the scenes. Unusual cultural differences, of course, also self-explanatory. So these are just some of the indicators of fraud, and if you are interested in knowing more about this, if you want a copy of it, I could actually be able to send this and provide this to you, considering that you set up a consultation and we can discuss potential marriage sponsorship case in more detail. So I hope this video has been helpful to you. Some of these are pretty eye-opening and very interesting, and just want to thank you for watching, and bye for now.